So 1 year on Guam,
Yes.
or 1 year since you were appointed as Coadjutor Archbishop of the Archdiocese of Guamanian. Reflect on that year. Think about it.
Sure. Well, it's been, so the first thing was getting over the shock, of coming to a place that I'd never been before. And so the initial visit back in December was very important for me. I was grateful that I had the chance to get here as relatively quickly as I could. I was appointed on October 31st, and I got here somewhere early in November. And so, so that was, I am more of a jump in, don't ease in type thing. So that was that was good for me, because I was able to jump in and kind of get an initial feel of things, very initial. I feel much more aware of life here now than then, but I was grateful for that. And of course, when I first got so I left. I was here for 3 weeks in November. I was home for Christmas, and came in like about mid-July, mid-January rather. And I remember getting up the very first morning, and one of the first things I had was meeting with the lawyers. And so I was kind of like, okay, honeymoon's over. And so, so one of the encouraging thing was that I wasn't alone on it, and there was we had this litigation committee, and in the backing of the Archdiocese Finance Council and whatnot. So that was a grace, and then so just getting acquainted with that whole field of things. Then we jumped right into the visit of Cardinal Burke, which was again another. That was a big deal. I met a lot of firsts, and it's not like I had had some experience of, at least one experience of removing a priest, or being part of the team that removed a priest from ministry because of sexual abuse of a minor. But engaging it here in this kind of global way, and in the role of being the Archbishop, it just took a lot more. And at that point too, I don't know, we were up in the 20s or 30s now, numbers, and now we're up in the close
130s.
Yeah, 130s, close on the 140, and so that's been a constant source of distress. It's not like I lose it, but I feel it. So that's taken a lot of kind of the initial emotional energy, plus some of the financial distress that we faced here. It's been stressful, but in a certain way, that's just money. It's the people stress that is more concerning, and the effect that it's had on the island. I'm aware of a loss of trust in the church. I think we're winning it back. It's always, it's how do you gauge something like that, but I think we are.
Is Guam anything like you imagined?
I have a great capacity not to imagine. I don't. The one thing I knew, and this was so, speaking of imaginations, especially when I was coming over in January, people, you know, so there was like some goodbyes and all that. I kept having to say, I'm not going to be living in a grass hut, you know, because that was their image, you know, that I was some kind of, you know, grass-covered, round clay thing that I was going to live in, you know, and so. So I try to come in without preconceptions, just other than that, you know, I know, okay, I know where it is, I know, you know, who, you know, what the Chamorro is the name of the indigenous people here, but I didn't have kind of dreams of what it was going to be like. So maybe that's partly because I'm Irish. You know, when you're Irish, you always expect the worst. That way, you're never disappointed. I don't know if you've ever heard that expression before, but it is part of the Irish psyche. But so those were the kind of the initial challenges, and it took probably 2 or 3 months before I felt like, okay, I think I've met a lot of the challenges, and what else is out here, you know? And so I, after, you know, a couple of months, I feel like I've certainly, you know, at that point I was starting to make some friends. I had, you know, a big turning point for me actually was the Cocos Island swim.
Oh, you swam that?
Yeah, I did. And part of it is I used to do a lot of, you know, a lot of running, and I know that was, people knew that. I can't run anymore because I've got an artificial hip now, left hip. And but I enjoyed so much the ambiance of being in, you know, it's semi-competitive. You know, you know, you're mostly competing against yourself, but you do like to beat a few others, you know. But it's a kind of a strange community. It's a one-day community, all doing the same thing. And from my point of view, you know, unless you think, you know, marathoners are crazy, it's something that relatively normal people do, you know. And so that was one of my first entrees into the Guam sports world. And I was just so grateful to do something that was relatively normal, you know, unless you regularly swim a couple of miles in the ocean. This is a relatively normal thing to do. That helped me a lot, personally. It just.
So how did you fare in the Cocos crossing?
I made it back to Guam. You know, I did. You know, and the time was, I was not ashamed of my time. It was about an hour and 20 minutes. So, but it, you know, that was a kind of funny, kind of personal turning point. You know.
Did people recognize you on the swim?
Yeah.
What did they say?
Hi, Archbishop. You know? And there was certainly nothing exterior that would have identified me other than my face, you know. So.
Because you can't wear your collar.
Yeah, I'm not wearing my collar. I'm not wearing my. Well, I don't even have my cross on right now. But yeah, I guess I stand out a little bit.
No worries. So there's obviously a lot of issues on Guam. Could you name the top 5 in the right order?
Oh, the sexual abuse cases. That's number 1. Probably number 2 is the loss of trust, I would say. Number 3, I think, is our quest for financial transparency. I think that's been a key effort. And one of the things I'm most grateful for from that first 3 weeks of my visit was that even within those 3 weeks, we were able to identify, we knew we needed a finance officer, a very qualified finance officer. And so the day before I left to go back to Detroit, I had an interview with Miss Josie Villanueva, who, by the way, became a citizen
Recently, yesterday.
Yeah, very nice. And so I was with her and Father Jeff, and Father Jeff said, "What do you think?" I think we should go for her. And I think, in some ways, the decision was, I don't know, the decision had been made, but it was like, that was a really good decision. because she's really shoring things up and tightening things up, so that I think we're going to, I think we'll be ready to, I mean, we're trying to be as transparent as we can, but I think we'll you know, increasingly see greater and greater accountability and transparency in our finances, which again is, you know, it's not all about money. You know, the most trust we need is back for the people themselves, but that kind of financial transparency will also help add to the trust factor.
Number 4.
Number 4 is, you know, so part of what I've, you know, been to, like some of the domestic violence proclamation just recently. That was most recent, and then prior to that, in like I think it was March or so, we had another child abuse month, and so my biggest concern is for the families here, and you know, coming across, you know, the prevalence of divorce here on the island is has gotten some notoriety even internationally. So that would be, you know, in a certain way, I've kind of, the social ills on the island, the church should be affecting more. And I can't say, you know, what, but I think that's kind of like one of my larger concerns, is to you know, increase our ability to, through the gospel, to affect and strengthen families, and to affect, you know, some of the drug stuff that goes on here, and the violence that we should see, if we're doing our work right, we should see a lessening of some of those issues. And 5th is more personal, in that is just my concern for the priests. They're my chief collaborators, and I've you know, I've met with all of them, and we've got some really good guys, and so this is more of, you know, a personal concern for me, for my priests, that we develop their ability to lead, to preach, to, you know, become even better priests than they already are, and so maybe that's not dealing with, you know, a problem per se, but it's something I'm eager for.
Where does the RMS and the NCW fall on this list?
Well, it's in there for sure. You know, it probably, you know, that's part of, you know, if I got a state of 5, it would be part of the priest category, obviously. And I'm still kind of deliberating. You know, back in March I said, you know, I want to take some time to kind of set some parameters and see how, you know, see how that works too. Because the concern here is, you know, not that, you know, we've got, you know, the people that have, there have been many Catholics that have been very blessed, and they've grown in their understanding of the Scripture, and found Christ personally in a way that they hadn't before, and those are really good things. And there's some other questions, you know, concerning their liturgy and all that. So I've still got a few more months to figure that one out. And although, you know, obviously I have made some determination about the seminary, in that for as small a community as we are, the kind of vision of producing priests that will go out to all the different countries right now is not something that's sustainable here. So.
Have you talked to, changing subjects,
yeah.
Have you talked to Archbishop Anthony Abram recently?
No, I haven't. Last time I talked to him was last November. When
I
met
notice
him.
his picture is no longer in this room.
He's up here somewhere. Though I mean, some of his. Okay, yeah, a number of these are his pictures, but and declarations about him. Yeah. So.
If you could speak to him today, what would you say?
I don't know. I haven't thought about that. Yeah, I don't know exactly what I'd say to him.
Now that I know that you've met with a lot of the victims of clergy sex abuse, do you think you're providing enough pastoral care? Or how are you handling that?
Yeah. So, I'd love to be able to do more. I just don't know the venue for it. I think once we're through the legal case, I think we'll have a greater freedom to deal with, to extend more pastoral care. Right now we're a little, it feels like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on it, but it feels like there's a certain, hands tied kind of thing, especially with contacting the victims. But the ones I've met have mainly just expressed gratitude for just listening to their story, and so in offering apology. Even, I represent now the church and all the priests, and so I try to be as open to them as possible. And it's really just tragic stories, the brokenness that it causes.
How confident are you in the new policies the Archdiocese has adopted?
I'm pretty confident. I'm grateful again, for the kind of training that happened last year. And again, I'm very proud of our lay faithful for stepping up and saying, we need to do this. What do you think? Bless it, and off they go. And so, and it's it's a small incident. But just that experience at Bishop Barbengartner, the school responded quickly, effectively, and in a way that brought some peace to the young person and to her family. So that's a sign to me that if we do what the policy says, even in this horrible incident of an encroachment, then that's a good sign that we know how to handle it. Now, God forbid it happen, but I think we're in a better place to handle, again, God forbid, future cases. So.
I know you're busy. So what is a typical day like?
Up between 5:30 and 6:30 each morning. Usually spend an hour in prayer with the Scripture, and then often I'll, the morning's the time I can talk to friends back home. So I often take a little time to call one or other of my friends. I can't call them in the middle of the night because that would be obscene for them. So and then I'm either off to a school or here at the office. A couple mornings a week I kind of just put for desk time. Afternoon time is often more meeting time, and then there's a series of regular meetings that'll get plugged in throughout. Lately I've had 2 school visits a week, and that's more fun. A lot of energy though goes out with school, because kids kind of suck the energy out of you in a certain way. So that's, yeah. And then the weekends, often, Saturday evenings is often a fiesta, and Sunday is I've got my regular mass and at 9:30, and I'll usually get to another mass or some other event on Sundays.
Speaking of the youth,
Yes.
how do you kind of bring the youth to Christ? I mean, I know that's kind of been one of your talks before about bringing the secular life into the religious life. Or
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Some of it's through my preaching at the Mass, I've tried to make myself available as I can for, well, certainly, for in the confirmation Masses, and there's kind of like regular activities that I can be present to. I like to see us do more, personally, I'm hoping to do something more in the, like the Department of Youth Affairs. I've been saying in some Masses there. And don't hold me to it, but it would be a nice opportunity. I would like to do more if we can. Yeah, right now I've been looking for, I did the keynote at the catechetical conference, and I think I communicated well to our catechists. We had about between 300 and 400 there, and my point to them was we've got to engage our young people's hearts, not just their heads. It's not just about the doctrine. It's about a heart relationship with Jesus Christ. And so that's a vision that I will continue to pursue with various of our catechists and whatnot. So.
Any more issues you want to talk about the church? Like the serious stuff? Money-wise?
No, like I said, I think we're on a good track. Our centralizing our finances under this Cathonet, I think, will be a big boost to us. It'll take the pressure off of some of our parishes in some ways, in terms of having the
assessments you're referring to?
No. This to their financial transparency and accountability. Accountability is painful, but what it does is it speaks to the people of God that we're taking. This is not our money; it's your money, and we're taking care of it well. And I think things like this Cathonet and the ongoing training that our finances office has been doing. We're doing some kind of triage work in some of the parishes themselves. It's going to be a big help in rebuilding confidence.
So the lawyers in the clergy sex abuse lawsuits, they are asking for a timeline next year, March next year.
Yes.
How long do you think this will go on?
I know if we get if they agree to the protocol and we're able to actually hold the mediation in March, then it'll be a matter of several days of mediation. I don't know what the outcome, how the once it's mediated, how it all proceeds, but I think it'd be lovely if we're done sometime in April.
But you're ready to see everything through.
We're committed to it, yeah. We're going to see it through.
Seeing as I have 5 minutes left.
You got a little cushion because Grace from AP is going to skip.
Oh, she's going to skip on today?
I mean, just,
well, I think we got a lot of the... Actually, I always admire your shoes when you...
Yeah, I was glad I found out
you always
about
look
these.
comfortable in your shoes as close to myself. So this is the more I'm done with the serious stuff. So this is almost like a speed round. Just, say the first thing that comes to mind. Best part about living on Guam?
I can swim anytime I want, except for the nighttime.
Worst part?
It's really hot.
How has it changed how you dress, or how has it changed you?
I'm doing my best not to wear socks.
No socks.
I have to when I dress up, though.
Favorite local food?
Oh, now that's a challenge. Barbecue, though. Yeah, the barbecue, whatever. I'm from Detroit. We do a lot of barbecue in Detroit, and I know everybody that does barbecue thinks theirs is the best, and it's really good here.
So who has the best barbecue on Guam?
Oh, gosh. No, that's like, I gotta plead the fifth, right?
Weirdest request you've received or you've gotten from maybe a parishioner?
Oh my gosh. I wish I could come up with something really juicy, but I kind of blank on this one.
But you've had some weird requests, right?
Yeah, I just got a bad memory. You know, I'm close to 60, so.
How old are you now?
59.
59. When's your birthday?
August 23rd.
August 23rd. That's right. Birthdays right next to each other. What have you learned about the Chamorro culture?
Very hospitable and tactile. I even said it in one of my homilies.
Can you say something in Chamorro?
Tatan mami, igagi haugi langet. I'm working on the Lord's Prayer. Come on. You know?
Okay, so the Lord's Prayer, working on the Lord's Prayer.
Yeah. Or half a day, or Zizos Matanse. Yeah, I can do some of those things. But
Lord's Prayer.
I think you taught me half a day.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Favorite village fiesta?
Oh, again, there's plead the fifth. You know, who am I going to say? Okay, so the most interesting one I've done was Manilao because we got dumped on rain. So there was a couple of young ladies in front of me without an umbrella. I had an umbrella, so they got most of it, and I got half of it. And so I spent the dinner, half of me soaked.
Okay, so most interesting one. Michigan, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So if your family from Michigan wanted to send you a care package, what would they send you?
Okay, so one group sent me a baseball with the Detroit's, the Old English D. So they would send me a Detroit Tiger shirt, which they did. They would send me, the ones that know me well, would send me Trader Joe's chocolate-covered almonds, dark chocolate-covered almonds.
I know you drive yourself. What do you think about Guam roads?
You know, they're interesting, and some of the roads are, the one I like best is, you know, Marine Corps Drive up from like Asan forward, because it feels a little bit more like a highway.
Okay, so like
Detroit.
Asan,
Yeah.
like Anigua. It sounds like he's describing sort of Anigua area.
Yeah, so but from there up to the base, you can go like 50 miles an hour.
You're not
or so.
supposed to.
Yeah, but you know what the traffic can bear, right? You know, and so just keeping up with traffic. If you drive too slow,
okay,
then
actually,
yeah.
I'm talking about southbound. Okay. What are you secretly thinking when someone walks into Mass late?
God, I'm glad they came. I don't get bothered.
You don't
They're
get
there.
bothered?
Yeah, as long as they're there.
If you weren't a priest and an archbishop, what would you be?
Probably a teacher.
Teacher? What kind of teacher?
Well, see, you know, this would have been a long time ago, but I dreamed of being what was a biology. If I wasn't going to be doing anything really, it would have been a biology teacher and coach linebackers in football.
Coaching football and teaching science. Okay. Can you remind us again what your background is? I know you have a degree
Microbiology.
Degree in microbiology. And
Yes.
how are you using that today?
I drink beer, and beer, you know, involves yeast, and yeast has something I studied in microbiology. But I've had a chance to do a little expedition with Dr. Jensen from University of Guam. We did a little. It was. We're trying to measure the discharge of water from one of the little caves, discharge of fresh water into the ocean. So I joined them for this little. This was back in May. It was Memorial Day actually, and that was fun.
Thoughts about living on Guam when you heard of threats of North Korea?
You know, I was off island when that all broke. I was doing my home visit in Detroit. Actually, I was in Massachusetts at the time. I was sorry I wasn't here. I just felt like I should be there. But by the time I got there, it would have been over. So.
What would you say to either Trump or Kim Jong-un? If you could say something.
Grow up.
If you weren't assigned to Guam, where would you want to be assigned?
If I was assigned to Guam.
If you weren't here on Guam, where would you like to be assigned as Archbishop? Or?
I was happy in Detroit. I made a decision early on that I will go wherever my spirit sends me, and I'll be happy about it. And so, Pope sent me here. So he's going to send me somewhere else, somewhere along the line, and I'll be happy there.
Do you know any good jokes?
Not right now. Yeah, if you told me about that, I could have thought about what a good joke is, but I don't know, I mean, it comes to mind immediately.
When you're not at church or working, where can we find you?
Not at church or working. You can find me Sunday evenings. I often just walk down to the kind of just next to the boat basin. Now I'm forgetting the name of the park, but it's just down here. So anyways, to watch the sunset. I don't have a regular hangout, per se. Yeah.
How would you describe a Guam sunset?
Spectacular. The cloud formations here sometimes are just out of this world.
How much weight have you gained?
I've lost about 5 pounds.
What do you attribute that to?
It's hot here. Seriously, I know some people, like my Filipino friends, when I was living with them, they said, "Oh, it's too cold to eat," and I'm saying it's too hot to eat, and so, yeah.
So what would the most comfortable temperature be?
Oh gosh, mid-70s, dry, mid-70s, low humidity is like heaven. I think that's what heaven's going to be like.
For someone who doesn't go to church regularly or maybe hasn't found the Lord, what would you say to them to try to lure them back to the Lord?
Jesus has made a big difference in my life, for the better, and I'd love you to meet him.
Any last words?
Thanks. Sorry.
Or, what do you say then, Chamorro?
Oh, gosh, all that comes to my mind is the Polish way.
Si Zos
Si Zos Mase, that's right.
Yes, that was great, we're done.